You spend years running, from one task to the next. Work, groceries, appointments, family. You say things like, I just need to get through this week. I'll rest when things calm down. But they never do. So you keep running. One day, you finally stop, and it feels like peace for a moment, until it doesn't. Because the silence is louder than you expected. You don't hear traffic, you hear yourself, and that's when it hits. You are never too busy. You are just distracted. We think being busy means we matter, that a packed calendar equals a full life, but it doesn't. Studies show that people in constant busyness often suppress emotions they're not ready to face. Grief, loneliness, fear of purpose, fear of slowing down. So we fill the silence before it speaks. We stay busy not just to achieve, but to avoid. But then life slows down anyway. The job ends. The kids move out. The daily noise fades. And suddenly you have what you always claimed to want. Time, space, quiet. And it feels empty. You start asking, what now? Who am I when I'm not busy? What was all that running for? Psychologists call this the post-busy crash. It's a real psychological shift that hits when external demands fade and your internal world takes over. It's common in early retirement, in empty nesters, in caregivers after a loss, in people who finally reach the top of a career ladder and realize the view is lonelier than they thought. You don't miss the stress, but you miss the distraction, the sense of being needed, of knowing what the next thing is. Because when there's no next thing, you have to face the present. And that's where most people get stuck. You don't feel lost because you have nothing to do. You feel lost because for the first time, you're alone with your own thoughts. And they don't sound like you thought they would. Modern life teaches us how to go fast, but it rarely teaches us how to stop. We celebrate ambition. We praise hustle. We reward people who grind, who sacrifice, who never rest. But slowing down, that's for later, for when we retire, for someday, until someday arrives, and no one shows you what to do with it. You wake up without an alarm. There's no deadline, no one waiting, and instead of feeling free, you feel invisible. This isn't burnout, it's absence, a quiet, confusing feeling of not knowing who you are without a schedule. According to psychologists, this moment triggers what's known as an identity gap. You defined yourself by roles: manager, parent, teacher, helper. But roles are temporary, and when they fade, so does your sense of worth. Unless you've built something deeper underneath. That's the danger of always being busy. You outsource your identity to what you do and forget to build who you are. Studies on retirement adjustment show those who struggle most after leaving work are the ones who had no life outside of it. Not because they didn't care, but because they never had time to think beyond the next task. It's not your fault. The world rewards output, not presence. No one gives you a medal for taking a slow walk or calling a friend just to listen. But here's the paradox. People who live the longest and report the highest life satisfaction in old age are not the busiest. They're the most connected. They feel useful, not because they produce more, but because they matter to someone. And that's the shift from doing to being, from proving to belonging. Your value doesn't disappear when the noise does, but you have to remember how to hear it. At first, the silence feels like a void, but it's not a void. It's a doorway. Behind it is the part of you forgot while racing through life. Your curiosity, your stillness, your voice, the one that doesn't yell over to-do lists, but waits until the lists are gone. One day you stop being busy, not because you gave up, but because life gave space. And in that space, you discover something strange. You don't miss the rush, you miss the meaning. But meaning was never in the rush. It was in the moments in between. You just didn't have time to feel them. So, how do you rebuild when the structure of your life has changed? Start by asking, what actually matters to me when no one's watching? Not what looks impressive, not what makes a list, but what fills me without applause. Psychologists call this intrinsic value alignment. It means living according to your values, not just your duties. And it's one of the strongest predictors of late life satisfaction. When you're no longer defined by deadlines, you get to define yourself. That's not a crisis, that's a second chance. Maybe that means learning something new, or helping someone quietly, or simply sitting in your own company and not flinching. Meaning doesn't have to be loud. In fact, it rarely is. You might still miss the busyness, the rhythm, the sense of motion. But you'll start to notice new rhythms, sunlight through a window, the sound of water boiling. A good question asked slowly. You are not your past schedule. You are not your old job title. You are not the full calendar you once had. You are the person who survived all that noise and is still here, learning how to be still. So if the silence feels empty today, don't run from it. Sit with it. It's not a punishment. It's a reunion with your values, your voice, and the part of you that was never busy, just buried. Because in the end, you don't need to stay busy to stay valuable. You just need to stay honest about what matters and make space for it before the noise comes back.